Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I will be your host today. How's everybody doing? Hello, CK. Hi, Ben. Hello, Plant Freak. Hello, Seventh Son. Good to see you guys. How's everybody doing? Talk to me. Is anybody coming in to have a meeting by chance? Y'all know how I feel about the talking head thing. You do, don't you? Oh, you for something, Carol, but I forgot what it was. Already said congrats for anniversary. Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, Stasia. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay.
It's a low energy kind of day for me today. I didn't get out of pajamas. I just had a shower and went, I'm getting back in pajamas.
I love this comment from CK. I meant to congratulate you for something, Carol, but I forgot what it was. I already say congrats for your anniversary. Anyway, congratulations for something. I'm sure you deserve it.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Angelic and Ben is angelic and innocent as always. But of course, hi, Henny.
How you feeling, Henny?
I hope you're feeling. Are you starting to feel any better? Oh my goodness. Hey, Cosmic!
Yay!
Good to see you. Pup Groomer. Hi, Anik. How you guys?
Goodness.
Yay.
Everybody's coming in.
The band's back together.
Yes. I ended up getting some of that counseling homework done today, so I can be like, I'm done with it until I get the next ones.
It looks hard.
The one that I sent you is about halfway through. So I'm going to try and get the first ones. And I'm going to share it, everybody, once I get the first ones on the Facebook group. The one that I'm working on is talking about that little voice inside of us that tells us all of the bad things about us and what society tells us is bad. Yeah. Of course, it's gender specific because of where I am.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out how to make it a little bit less gender specific because I feel like it applies to both genders or any gender.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get the information, and I have somebody actually helping who did all the translation. Thank you, Izzy.
Hi, Izzy.
There she is. Who did all the translation for me, and then she's going a little bit further above and beyond with it. So I'm excited to share it with you guys because it's helping. Just doing that work is really, really helping.
Well, good. Well, then it's not hard. Well, that's good.
Yeah. No, it's. How you doing, hon?
Good. How are you? Just go back to what you're talking about. I'm just like, okay. Sci-fi movie. Hi, how you going?
I love it. So the little voice inside, with the homework that I'm doing, they call it horror, not like a streetwalker, but like a horror movie.
Yeah, because what does that mean? In something seems lost in translation there.
So basically, because it is all of the bad things that we tell ourselves, that society has put on us, that partners or situations have made us believe, that's our horror. It's like our own little horror film going on in our head. And we can't.
It sounds like you're saying horror.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm like, not streetwalker.
Horror.
Yes. So it's just like our own little film going over and over in our heads, and how to help us. Recognizing it is helping me get out of the loop.
Good.
Of just playing over and over and over again in it. So I really feel like it could be beneficial to some, if not everybody here.
Right on.
So once I'm able to get it down a little bit better and a little bit less gender specific, then I will I will share all of the information.
So is
Think
it like ants, basically? It's like the ants
Yeah.
in your head.
I like this,
Yeah.
and I like this visual here. Think guilt creature standing on your shoulder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes. It's
Mhm.
the constant guilt, the constant shame that we feel that stops us from listening to what we really want.
Right.
So the example that they had given me, again, gender specific, let's say that you're going to a party and you want to wear the really sexy red dress, but you think
Yeah.
of what everybody's going to tell you that you look like, or talk about you behind your back, or what your partner's going to end up saying at the end of the night, versus wearing the sophisticated black dress. So what most of us do is pick the sophisticated black dress because we listen to that
Right.
guilt creature instead of listening to what we want. And if we listen to what we want, it might make us that little bit happier. And then
Right.
one of the exercises on this one goes a little bit further. It's like, what do I lose if I just listen to the guilt creature? Well, I lose the
Yeah.
confidence in listening to myself.
That's right. I was going to say something along those lines.
Yeah, I lose.
You know, even just doing what you want in the little things, you know, it helps kind of prime you for listening to your instinct in the bigger things.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's
Yeah,
one thing that
that
I
makes
know
sense.
I've been struggling with, is that listening to myself in the bigger things has been a lot harder at this point in my life than when I had separated from my daughter's dad. And it's because I fed that guilt creature and I just
Yeah.
kept feeding that, and I didn't figure out how to start listening to what I wanted and allowing myself to do what I wanted.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's
And
a
you
lot
were
of us who
yeah,
can relate to that.
stuck in that loop, in other words, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really like the fact that they named it horror. There we go.
Horror.
Because yeah, horror, because it is our own personal horror. It is our own personal fears, our guilt, our shame, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Those things that horrify us. That makes
exactly.
sense.
You kind of got to
Yeah.
wonder how much
Got
of it, though, is us and how much of it is others on
And
us,
that's
if that makes sense.
exactly.
Right.
And how
Yeah.
much of it, and then I'm really realizing how much of it's societal. Like how much
Yeah.
society has primed us for our own specific gender roles, for example, and how that now affects our own personal guilt. Because we were told as children, good boys do this, good girls do this. Now that
Yeah.
feeds that little voice inside of us when we're trying to make decisions.
It's like that
Because
saying.
at that age, we want to be the good girl and the good boy, and we want to get
Well,
this gold star. And
it's written in like
Yeah.
what is it? Those nursery rhymes like sugar and spice and all things nice, and boys are pig's tails and all the bad stuff. You know, like all the gross stuff. And it's like that's something I remember from when I was a child. You know.
Yeah.
Like boys are gross and yucky, and girls are sweet and sweet and demure. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's ingrained into our
It is.
children. We do it like, and it's funny because pink used to be a boy's color, and that changed to a girl's color. It used to be only for boys, and blue was blue was for girls, and somehow it flipped, and now all of a sudden, you know, I'm expected to buy. Well, I was blue clothes for my son and pink clothes for my daughter. I refused. They got yellow and green. So
Yeah.
it's just that's it's how can we fight against something that's so prevalent?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's generational. It's generational.
But if we don't at least try, we're gonna end up in some stuck patterns that we don't want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know.
So that's why
Yeah.
I've tried to do it with my children. You know, you don't have to. My daughter was allowed to play. She could play with. She played with trucks. My son played with dolls. You know, there was no. I didn't define their gender. They did it for themselves, if that makes sense. When they got
Yeah.
older, but
Yeah.
they were obviously, yeah. So it's because like, why should I? It's up to them. And now my daughter is non-binary, so
Yeah. And it's acceptance, and it's something that we are trying to, I feel like it's backwards the way that we're doing this in society. Now we're trying to be more accepting. And if we were maybe a little bit more accepting before, it would be easier now. But we have multiple generations who are like, no, but that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, that didn't exist before, so why should I listen to it now? You know,
Right.
or there's the individuals who are just like, but it didn't exist then, so why does it, like, that are like, you know, around my age. Well, it didn't exist back then. Why does it exist now? Either side. It's what it is that, what did they call it? Socialization.
Yeah.
And they explained to me that it's a generational process. And yes, it's getting a little bit better, but because we don't have this all-inclusive mindset of let's all make the change and people are continually fighting it, it's not going to change much. It's only
Right.
going to change that, you know, couple of centimeters.
I
So
like this. We can't parent in a vacuum, says Izzy E. Our kids see influence from outside the home as well. School, TV, eventually peers, and the workplace. It's not just something that we can prevent as parents. That's true. That's
exactly.
true.
Yeah, we can help navigate it, as Izzy says. Yeah,
and think,
Yeah,
we can help them navigate
critical-
it and think critically. Yes.
Yeah, critical thinking is something that I think should be taught at school. And I don't know, like, isn't it? I thought it was. Like, where did I learn it?
It used to be. It used to be.
Yeah, it's just because it doesn't seem to be anymore. Like, there's no, people just see, like, they can see something online and they'll be like, okay, that's real. And they don't, there's no critical thinking behind it. Like, okay, where's the sources for that?
Right.
Are there any other people talking about it? Is it real? You know, so it's just, there's no critical thinking, it seems. Everyone just, not everyone, but lots of people are just like, they see what they see and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't understand that. Like, how can you not want to delve deep into why things are the way they are? Or,
right.
You know, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's laziness, to be honest. It sounds really mean, but I honestly feel like it's laziness.
Maybe.
It's easy to go with the status quo.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Yeah. Well, see, that's a legal thing too. Like, I didn't take my kid's dad to court because he had the status quo at the time. He had the amount more time. So, you know, status quo. Hate that word. But,
you know, there was a time that probably more people would have said that this is crazy conspiracy stuff, but the more you look around, the more it's really not so crazy. Because, I mean, what are we supposed to think? Rip Curl Readiness says, I believe the reason we're so divided is because that's what the powers that be need to stay in control. It's hard not to think that, because there seems to be something at work keeping us.
Well, when you think about it, the people who get into power, I'm not talking politics, I'm just talking power in general. People who get up to the top, all they want to do is stay at the top. They don't want to do anything to better those below, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? They just want to get, that's all they want. They just want to get to the top and stay at the top. They don't want to do anything. And I don't. Yeah. Hi, Misha. Is Misha here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I can't see it.
And I feel like the powers that be, we then are talking, you know, politics make all the decisions for us, essentially. Those individuals make too much money. They don't understand.
That's on me.
Okay. the powers that be make too much money. They don't understand the small person. They don't understand not the small person, but majority of society.
Yeah.
The people who are living. Yeah, sorry, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, you know?
Yeah. Right.
I think that most people are living
that doesn't ask questions. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's not that hard. All we need, it's not hard. We just have to choose the right people, and that's hard because the right people aren't going forward. You know, the right people.
They know the job is going to suck.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Obama. He looked so young when he first started. What did he have? Did he have 2 terms? I think so. He looked so young in the beginning, and by the end of it, he'd aged like way more than 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to stand up against people in power. That's right, Henny. How many of us are truly racist in here? But it is so prevalent. How many of us want to hurt others? That's just it. I think that if I were racist, wouldn't I know it? If I actually hated a specific ethnic group, would I not know that?
Yeah. Exactly.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I understand that there are people that do feel that way, but let's not paint with such a broad brush, because I see, more people legitimately figure this out and how we make it better.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's just not, in my opinion, it's just not the powers that be. It's everybody lower who's trying to figure it out, while the powers that be make their decisions and they just look yes or no. And that's it. There is no gray area. There is no in between. There is no compromise. That's it.
That is the paradox of power, that those who want it rarely should yield it. Yeah, that is the paradox. The agenda is to eliminate critical thinking. It's easier. Yes, it's a way to shut down conversation. Exactly. And that's, you know what? I'm just going to call it what I see it. Evil.
Yeah. It's its own form.
One nation under God, indivisible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To control a populace that is dumbed down.
Well, I don't even know if we're dumbed down. I think
I don't think we are. Some of us are trying to survive. Some of us are just trying to get by. Some of us are just trying not to make too many waves, because, we don't like the shitstorm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things at play there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry, I got all political there.
I did too. And I, that's just how I feel. That's how I feel. To shut down the conversation and just say it's this, and keep feelings stirred up that are not, in any way anybody. I just find that evil. I do.
You kind of got to think that for the people who are suffering from racism, not me, because obviously I'm white, but my children, they are, they're Indigenous Australians, and they copped it hardcore because they're not dark enough, they're not white enough, they're.
Oh.
Yeah. So they never fit.
Yep.
Anyway,
and
yeah.
I understand that. Everybody thinks that I'm Indian, like East Indian. And I take no offense to it. I've learned over the years, this is just trying to place me, but I'm mixed race. I'm Guyanese, Portuguese, and Chinese. I know the Chinese just seems really random, but it's in there. But everybody tries to place where I've come from. And it's, in Canada, I don't know about the States, it's like people need to place you. And I think maybe that's what your kids also suffered from.
Yeah.
It's, which one are you? Where do you belong?
Yeah.
In the human race. Hello, can we just say in the human race?
Exactly.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I know.
Why
That's great.
I mean, and some people are proud of their heritage,
Right.
and they should be. I think
Yeah.
that everybody, if that's the way they want to feel within themselves, there's nothing wrong with that. No matter what race, no matter what ethnicity.
For some people, especially Indigenous Australians, they need their recognition because they have been so pushed out of it. They have no, so that's why some people, I'm just saying, that's why their race is important to them, because Australia tried to wipe out the Indigenous.
Yeah.
We had a white Australia
So did the United
policy.
States, let's be real.
And Canada.
So I think for a lot of people, those who are coming forward and saying, we have suffered in the past. This is generational trauma. It's not just trauma from someone saying, okay, that N word or that whatever word towards that person. It's generational. They've suffered for generations. And people don't care. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. It wasn't us. No, it wasn't us. But they still suffer. They're down lower because of people who put them there. So it's not us, sure. We may not need to apologize personally, but they're there because of we are the society we are because of the people that we trod on, if that makes sense. We are only as successful because of the people that we enslaved. And it's terrible, but when are we going to give them credit is my point, I guess. It's like, when are we going to give credit to the people who deserve it? The ones that, the white people went out on the fields doing all the stuff or whatever, and over in Australia, the white people weren't picking going out there doing all the sugar harvesting. They got people, they call it blackbirding. They got it from the islands. Basically, Australia did it too. So here we are. Oh yeah, Australia's great. Nah, no, we're not. Sorry. Yep. But it's just, and that's I think the thing that's with the race right now. Sure, we are one human race. There shouldn't be borders. We are all one. But the borders are put there not by those who are there, if that makes sense. Like all the African borders, that wasn't put there by Africans.
Right.
It's put there by white people. So yeah, I'm a little bit of a social justice warrior because I have children who have suffered from racism, which is really weird considering they're white as, but they're still called all the names that Indigenous people are called. So, and I guess that's my thing. We are one race, but we are divided by people above us.
Yeah. And just an understanding of history helps a little bit, just a little bit, so that, when somebody's having a moment, they can just be like, okay, I can see where this moment's coming from. I can see, because this is, like you had said, it's a generational issue. This happened, generations ago. But if we can understand what happened generations ago, we can at least say, hey, I'm sorry for whatever part I just played that may have triggered you. Yeah. And I'm sorry for what has happened in the past. This is not my intention. This is not my goal. There needs to be more people who come out and say things like that. There needs to be more people who are open about it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And, where do you find the forum to put yourself in front of whoever it needs to be said to? Because
those people won't just come to it.
Because we are so divided.
Exactly.
And that's messed up. Why? Because somebody had a design that wanted it that way. It just feels that way.
It's easier to conquer those who are divided. If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. Like, if we're all okay. I am an outside person looking towards American politics. What I see, and I don't care who's either side, whatever, just be good is all I care. But what I see is that there's so much division and stuff that it doesn't even matter anymore. People just want to be right. They want who they want in rather than the best person for the job, if that makes sense. Like they don't want things to be fixed. They want to be right.
It's not a job anymore. It's all ideology.
Yeah, it's like
one ideology against another, and back and forth it goes. How about somebody that can actually do the job, like you said?
Yeah, exactly. Like just someone decent. Where are the decent people in politics gone? I can't see any. And and you kind of hope that people go into politics thinking that they're going to do the best, and then maybe they get, I don't know, they can't, and then
I think they have to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. And if politics is a game, we need to rewrite it.
Yeah,
we need to get rid of it because this is what politics shouldn't be a job. It shouldn't. It should be something that you do for a certain amount of time. It shouldn't be a job. You shouldn't wake up in the morning one day and say, I want to be a politician.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, nuance doesn't sell. That is so right. That is so right.
True. That is, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
no, you have to be loud and agrarious and kind of these days it seems you have to be a little bit horrible. Like people like the horrible. Like people think it's funny or something.
They get something out of it, and it's not healthy.
No.
Well, no, it's like when people hate watch things, or hate listen. What's that guy? He wore like tinfoil on his Alex, whatever. But people watched him purely out of hatred because they hated. They wanted to hear what he said, but they hated it. And then I'd be like, be all angry about what he said all day. You know what he's going to say. So why get so mad about it? So just move on with your day. Watch something funny. Don't watch this angry little man being all angry about whatever he's angry about. I don't know. I've never watched him, but it's like, you know what's going to happen. So why do it? It's like people make themselves, people want to suffer. They want to be angry.
There seems to be something to that. It's like a martyrdom complex with some. Some, it's just like, I'm just going to carry on the punishment that was dealt to me because I believe that I have deserved it because I was told that, and I believe it.
Well, see,
and there's a myriad of other reasons, but those are two biggies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess because I used to like get really angry on Twitter. Not angry. I used to make other people angry on Twitter because that was my fun. But I've stopped because I'm like, I'm ruining someone else's day. Yeah. And I don't even care. I don't care. I think it's hilarious. But I stopped because I thought I'm making this person upset because you can tell because they, So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to ruin their day just because I want to have a bit of a laugh.
Right on.
And that's all it was. It's people. That's what Twitter is. It's like a cesspool of people trying to one up themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's important for spaces like this. No judgment, just communication, connection. That's it. Because if we're unable to do that, how are we critically thinking? This is a space where we can critically think. We're not judging. We're asking questions to understand.
Asking questions, and I want to understand. Help me understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm listening.
Yeah. There's a difference between debating when it's like, a back and forth. But when I'm just out there like hitting points and spewing facts, there's no debating me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no debate. And it's not a debate. It's not like I'm not trying to make them think. I'm just trying to win a point. And that's a lot of people these days. And I've stopped. I don't think it's not a good way to do it.
I'm going to call that some growth, Cosmic.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was just about to say, like, after you said that, I realized that's what I was trying to do before. I was trying to defend or win a point. And I don't need to do that. And that's where I just need to be okay with me. Like taking politics completely out of it. Let's just look at interpersonal relationships. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. If I'm going to defend and I need to prove a point, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm just going to have to figure out how to be okay with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, especially people in our situations type things, we shouldn't have to defend or, people just accept us for who we are, what we've been through. We don't have to defend anything. We did nothing wrong.
Yeah. But for so long, we've told ourselves that we've done something wrong. That little guilt voice, that little shame voice has told us so many times we did something wrong. And whether that originated with us or somebody else, we now believe it. And then rewiring to not believe it is harder than believing it.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So
Yeah.
Not knowing what questions to ask, Ms. D
Yeah.
says, that's a big one. But even just asking the question, well, what question am I to be asking?
Mhm.
What's the question? Just beginning to ask that,
Yeah.
is a starting point.
Yeah. And she's busy this evening, but she does a really great job of doing it. Christy, she goes, but why do you feel that way? And then it makes the person go inward a little bit more and go, okay, I feel this way because, and then they have to assess it. Whether that just be with politics or interpersonal relationships or just what's happening with yourself. It's a good jumping off point to find the next questions.
Yes.
I wish my counselor asked me, why do I feel this way all the time? I'm like, you tell me.
Love it. Oh, see, that's why I think some of the exercises that I'm doing is really, really good because it explains, like there's like a presentation beforehand kind of thing. You sit down, you talk about it first, and then you go through and do the exercise. And it's like, okay, I can relate myself to this previous situation that you talked about. And how can I relate myself to that? It helps me to start asking the questions, to start figuring it out.
This is what I was saying, along the lines of what I was saying earlier. I
Yeah.
mean, even one ex-Scientologist called the protesters racist. It's like, how the heck do you figure that? But that argument is supposed to shut down all debate with no thought required.
Yep.
Because it is. It's designed to promote a fear response. Oh, am I racist?
Well, I'd love for someone to tell me I'm racist. Come on, then.
It's a fear tactic.
And it's like when people bring in the Hitler into an argument. There's a thing. It's only a little time. Like people have lost the argument if they bring up Hitler.
Yeah.
Basically. I don't know why.
Also, we don't.
That way.
Also, we don't have to always have to ask questions, though. Either sometimes just experiencing life without all the yucks, if that makes sense. Boy, wouldn't that be a nice thing to be able to do more of? Yeah. I think that, that is probably why we end up asking questions, is because what is this misery here? What's going on? This should not be. Life should not be dominated by misery.
Yes, we ask to understand so that we don't need to experience it again. Yes. And it would be nice to have a society where we can just be like, no, I don't need to ask those questions. I don't need to figure this out. But sadly, we have one. But we can have people in our lives that don't do it to us. And then that helps. And then we don't do it back. And that helps even more.
Neat. Ben, I know this is a serious topic and I agree with what you said. However, you really need to stop with the continual bacon report.
But bacon's so good.
I don't even like bacon.
We have a right fighters in our world, and when you are busy being a right fighter, you are not listening to the other person.
Yes,
exactly. Mary Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Drop it now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but it's because people they listen for a point in the conversation where they can make their point. They don't actually listen to what has been said before. They're just waiting for their chance to speak, if that makes sense. Like people, they don't listen. People aren't listening to what's being said a lot. They just listen for their point in the conversation.
They've got their little filters, and the thing that makes it past the filter is what they're going to grab hold of, and it could be just one little verbiage taken out completely out of context, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that is, listening needs to be an art that is not lost.
Well, in this time of very short attention spans, you have to get out what you need to say very quickly before people lose interest, it seems.
When someone says everybody's racist, I say you're projecting. There's a big part of me that would agree. I mean, like I said, wouldn't I know it if I hated a group of people? Wouldn't I not? I know what hatred is. I did not know what hatred was until my brother beat me up in July of 2018. Then I learned. I had never hated anybody in my life. Didn't even, it wasn't even a blip on the radar, but I hated my brother. He made an enemy that day. And I learned what kind of enemy I was. You know, I'm the kind that is patient. I'm quiet. I watch. And when the moment is maximized for me to really mess up your world, it's on. And if I and what makes me even more formidable is that I don't even care if I get hurt in the process. I don't even care if I die in the process. That's what kind of enemy I learned that I am. And I've only felt that toward one person. So now I know what hatred is.
Yeah.
And I've only felt it for one person ever. Sadly, it was a member of my own family, my only sibling, you know. But he had bruised me, abused me, knocked me every way into Sunday, both verbally and physically. And it was just one too many.
Yeah.
And that was that. And that was that.
Yeah. And I realized, I don't know if it's the same for other people, but when you said that you get quiet, it's like, that's how you know I've turned, or I've, you know, if I'm around you every single day and all of a sudden I'm not trying to talk things through, I'm not trying to understand your side or your feelings, or okay, now then I have shut down. And that means that I'm not engaging the way that I was. Now there's a factor that's completely shut down in my head. I can't say that it's hatred, and I'm putting what you had said, the shutting down, to my previous relationship. And as soon as I shut down, it was like, that was when I could, and now, right now, seeing it, that's when I stopped caring. That's when I stopped sympathizing. That's when I stopped trying to help. That was pure survival mode at that point.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Would that have been the beginning of the end?
I think so.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. And if I'm being fully honest with myself, had to have been at least a year and a half.
I love this, Izzy E. I'd love for schools to give EQ classes, teaching empathy, listening, conversation. Yeah, you know, because emotional intelligence is every bit as, if not more, important than mental intelligence.
Well, you know, IQ.
And they go hand in hand.
IQ doesn't count for much in the end, really, because you increase
True.
your IQ, but
yeah, you do.
Can you increase your EQ? You know, that's the thing that should be important. You know, empathy. I don't know how can you teach someone empathy? It should just, how can empathy be taught? How can you teach someone to care?
By example,
I guess.
You know, extending that empathy toward somebody who, you know, who knows? I don't know.
They say
where they get to feel what it feels like to have that be extended to them. I don't know.
Well, our Prime Minister in Australia, he had to do empathy classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it help?
No. Everyone hated ScoMo, but it's like I was so confused. How can you teach someone feeling? You know, like,
that's true.
How can you tell them?
Yeah. That's
how
true.
Can you teach them that if you hurt someone, they're going to feel hurt, But if that person doesn't have empathy, I don't think they care enough that the other person hurts, and I don't know how you can teach empathy without obviously doing it from childhood. You teach children how to be gentle to animals and to be kind to their friends and to always be nice, otherwise they're going to hurt other people's feelings. But once they get past that age, they're gone. I can teach them Minecraft, that's it. I can't teach them empathy after that.
Minecraft. But I think that's the important part too, is to be able to have it taught in childhood. And the sad thing is that we can't expect parents. I really wish it was different, but parents rely on schools a lot for teaching.
They do.
And they expect the school to do a lot more than the school actually does. So parents need to be stepping in a little bit more, especially in the emotional intelligence departments.
Yeah. All you have to do is think about down the line. Do I want my kids to be to just can't wait to get away from me? Or do I want them to be able to, want to call me?
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start,
Yeah.
And obviously if you're telling your kid to hush up, and just do whatever, that's not gonna go very far in having your kids in your life later in life. And that can be a really desolate, lonely place when your own kids won't even talk to you.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I had a big cry yesterday because I missed my daughter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 It is what it is. But it's not that she doesn't want to talk to me. It's that she's upset with me. And she's stubborn like me. And when we're angry, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Have you figured a way an olive branch can be extended there to maybe cool down the anger somewhat?
No, I just send her, her boyfriend's still friends, or her partner is still friends with me on Facebook. So I, every now and then I just send her, I love her. I'm thinking of her.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's true, like I don't know what I did to create someone who lacks so much empathy, because I did the same for both kids. And she doesn't have any empathy for me at all.
Oh.
Or she loves her cat and her boyfriend, and that's it. As far as she's concerned, nothing else exists in the world.
I'm sorry, Cosmic. I can't remember how old she is. Can I ask?
She's 21.
Yeah.
Or actually, 20. She's 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I know for me, until I was about 25, that's when I was able to turn around and say, oh my God, I was a shitty human. I know at one point we have so many hormones and so many things going on. Now we can add in the other factors as well of, her challenges, her autism and anything else that might be confronting her right now. But I truly hope, and I do believe that at some point in time, she's going to have that flip and be like, oh, I see. I really think she is. I just think that you're in the midst right now of that hormonal time. You're in the midst of that really selfish end of teen, beginning of 20s time.
Yeah.
It's almost like, what did I give birth to? Like,
It's amazing because I raised both my children the same, and they turned out so different. And I guess that's nurture over nature, or nature over nurture, or whatever it is. Some people are just going to be who they are regardless.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can see you know exactly what I'm talking about, Misha. Ooh, thank you, Mary Jones. I am. These meetings have helped me sort through a lot of that. honestly.
Mhm.
It gets better. It gets better. You know, I didn't do anything to deserve that abuse, and I know that. I knew it then, you know. So that was my kind of starting point. But I don't have to accept it, but I do have to accept who I am in the wake of it, you know, and that's the dance I've been doing for 4.5 years.
And remember what Christy had said to me, right? It had to have been a couple weeks of me being in the talking phase of my situation. I do need to figure out forgiveness, but it doesn't have to be that person.
Right?
I can forgive myself.
Yep.
I don't have to forgive that person. And
No.
as soon as I was able to figure out how do I forgive myself? Because at first it was extremely confusing. I wanted the apology. I wanted, because if I got that apology, I could forgive and then I could move past and just leave it alone. But I understood finally, and I can't even remember what triggered it. I don't need to get an apology or forgive that person. I do need to forgive myself for all of the things that I was telling myself. I didn't leave soon enough. How did I not see this? Or all of the horrible things that I was telling myself. And once I was able to do that, it's like the wheel started turning just that little bit faster. The processing was able to happen a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I'm missing things I have.
Well, let's see. She was talking about murder theory. It's a wow theory. We murder ourselves every time we learn we aren't worthy when we don't get what we need. I want to debunk it. I want to too.
Yeah.
Misha.
Yeah.
Mary Jones, when I shut down and get quiet, I don't want to say something that will hurt you. I am trying to process my emotions. I will talk to you once I am calm and can do it with love and kindness. Right on. That is a life skill.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, me too.
I'm still trying to
That's
figure
a
that
wonderful
one out.
life skill.
I have that
Like the
mostly.
boss who goes incognito. Yeah, I like this. Like the boss who goes incognito TV show. Every politician should live like each of their citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let me think. I remember what movie was Tommy Scoville in with the signs? Oh, I want to remember because I remember when he said the movie that he was in. Oh my God.
Is everyone in America in a movie?
I feel like all the Scovilles.
Oh, they're taking over Disney, so.
I can't think of the movie, but anyway, I like what Full of Hope is saying here. Empathy is naturally meant to kick in at about 9 years old. There's a time in childhood for most each development. If it's missed, it's gone. I think you get a chance at like age 12, maybe you get another shot in there, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I had empathy when I was I can't remember not having it. I used to put my cups, my glasses together because I thought that if they weren't all together with their friends, then I'd feel sad. I gave inanimate objects feelings. I still do. And I still think that everything's got feelings. Like I bang into the wall. Sorry, wall. But I don't. I think it starts much younger than 9.
I think so too.
Yeah, and because like you see little kids when they get upset or they see their mum cry or something, they do feel it. So, but
and the way Wee Man reacts in comparison to some of the other kids I've seen come through, it's very, very different. He asks if people are okay. He wants to talk to them, whereas other ones are just turning around and no, I'm angry, I'm hitting things, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's been shocking to kind of see, and I think it's a lot of the situation that people are brought up in. And I think if empathy is unable to be shown in those situations, then that's where it's missed. And we stay in these situations, and you know what? I was so fearful that wee man had learned some really horrible skills, but he keeps proving to me that he hasn't, and that he's very thoughtful and he's very kind. But the situation could have done something, and I'm just grateful it did.
Yeah. Well, you kind of got to.
Yeah. He's not acting out what he saw. That's very hopeful.
Like he will, of course, he's a little boy or a little child, not even just a little boy. You know, you're going to have anger outbursts. You're figuring out how to emotionally regulate things. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not to the level that I've witnessed elsewhere.
He's probably also hyper aware of other people's feelings because of the situation that he's been in. Because I know that's how I am. I'm hyper aware of other people's. Like when I walk into a room, I am aware of everything that's going on because that's been my life. I've had to be aware of everything, you know, because I was always in danger. I love you too, Misha. But it's like, you know, when you grow up in a dangerous situation, which domestic violence is, it's dangerous for the children as well. They tend to learn to be hyper vigilant about other people's feelings, emotions, what they're going to do because they need to be, because they're scared.
Yeah. And I've tried to express to him, you don't need to worry about me. Or say that I'm okay and express to him why I'm okay, because I do the same thing. And I don't know when it came into my life exactly. But now when I walk into a room, before I even say hello, like a physical room, if I have people's energy around me, before I even say hello, I look at everybody's faces. And then I have an idea of where the room is and how I should be saying hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was a learned thing, a means of survival.
Yeah.
I didn't have it with Mandrew. Yep, I didn't have it with Mandrew, and I can't tell you exactly where it came in, but all of a sudden now I'm really recognizing it. I have to read faces first.
I read emotions. I don't look at people's faces because autism, but I read emotions, so I can feel. Like some people call it being an empath.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but it's like it's feeling. Like, you know, when someone's angry and you walk into the room and you know they're angry, but they haven't said a word to you, they don't even look at you. I feel that. And whether it's directed at me or not, I feel like it's my fault. And that's something that's come from that's from when I was very, very young. Me and my therapist are actually working on it now, to be honest. All my reactions come from being a uncared for child when I was younger. So the way I react to people now is a extension of that.
Yeah.
So, and it took me until like 44 to start working on it, basically.
But you're working on it. It doesn't matter when you're working on it. You figured it out, and now you're working on it. That matters.
But you kind of got to wonder if I'm like this, how many other people are suffering as adults because of what they went through as children and they don't even know?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And making other people suffer around them, you know, and that's when becomes generational. Because, you know, I suffered. I could have made my children suffer in the same way. I didn't, but I could have. But just imagine those people out there who don't make that conscious effort to not pass on whatever they've been through, you know, break the chain or whatever they call it.
Yeah, they don't have enough emotional intelligence to do it. Sorry, Carol.
Yeah. I was just saying, I like what Miss just saying here. Once we figure things out, and then it is no longer possible because that person is no longer here. That is an issue in and of itself. That is unresolved grief. even if it is our abuser.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they also say
And
that you sit with anger enough and you'll recognize it as grief.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do with your kids, even when you aren't seeing eye to eye, is just let them know you love them unconditionally and you are always there for them for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then just enjoy. Love that rip curl.
Mm-hmm.
Rip curl readiness. I love that.
Yeah. And
the
that's,
time you get to spend with them. Just enjoy the time that you get to spend with them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
point that I'm finally getting to. Whether it's a conversation with my daughter on the phone or it's a weekend with Wee Man, I'm just trying to enjoy those moments, because fixating on everything else, it makes the relationship suffer, because my energy is different. My energy is different when I go into the conversation or when I go into the weekend. So reframing so that it doesn't happen.
Somebody's talking about Funny Farm and Animal Farm. Yeah. Orwell. I'm assuming you're talking about Orwell Animal Farm. That would make it easier. Let's see. Animal Farm is Orwell, no? Yeah. Forgiveness gives you power. It's true. That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard to forgive when you feel like something has come so devastating that you can't find the first light of any kind of forgiveness. But yeah, I can see that.
Do you ever just feel like sometimes rage and anger is fine? Like, because I don't want to get over it just yet. I don't want to move forward. I want to continue with being angry for a bit.
Yeah, I understand that one. I was there for a good while, and then I finally got tired of it. And I'm in that negotiating phase right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken 4.5 years. So it takes us however long it takes, if ever, but I understand that, my anger, I felt like there was some power in my anger even,
Yeah. If I'm not angry, then I'm not going to keep going.
Right.
And that's for one particular situation. If I don't hold the anger and the rage, then nothing's going to happen. I'll just let it go, because that's what I do. I let things go. I'm like Elsa. Let it go, whatever. I let things go so easy that I think it's detrimental, because that's why people tend to take advantage, because I let it go. I'm just like, don't worry about it. It's all good. So it's all G. But
it's a really big thing if you can't it's a really big thing if you're not letting it go. And, because to not let it go means that you're not going to press forward for justice.
Yes. And if I don't maintain the rage, which is it's quite a big saying over here in Australia, maintain the rage. If I don't maintain that rage for this particular thing, there's no justice, nothing is going to be done.
Yeah.
And so I think rage sometimes is beneficial, and anger is beneficial, as long as we don't eat it up, let it eat us up, or direct it towards the wrong people.
Right. Yeah. Agree. Had to forgive myself.
So I'm going to maintain my rage.
Okay.
Fair.
100%. Fair. I had to forgive myself for becoming the person I had to just to survive, Ms. D says. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not at that point yet. Eventually I'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I forgave myself for. I became a pretty shitty person, needing to function and survive every single day. And instead of thinking, I need this apology, I need them to recognize, for a year and a half, I understood that they were never going to recognize it and that they were never going to apologize.
Right.
It didn't matter how hard I fought or how hard I defended.
Yep.
They just weren't going to recognize it. And that's what I needed to forgive myself for.
Right on.
Yeah.
You know, funny story, not that funny, but I actually got an apology from my first slappy happy abuser, and didn't mean anything. It didn't make it better.
No.
So
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There was a time when if my brother had tried to actually truly apologize, which is not something that he ever did, it was always, I'm sorry, but you know.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but this is why I did it. I'm sorry, but don't
which
sorry
is no
me
apology.
if there's a
But
after.
even if it would have been a sincere apology, I don't think that I would have been able to accept it.
Well, see, my apology. So I left my abuser in 2012, and then I didn't get the apology until probably 2019.
Was it a sincere one?
I don't know. I had to go. I had to go ask for forgiveness for holding hatred towards him in my heart from the church. So that's why I did it. Yeah. So I'm like, it took me 6 months. I'm like 6 months of going to church and then saying, "Have you forgiven him?" But yeah. And I went there and I said, "This is what you did to me. And I'm sorry if I did anything that made you do this." So I even apologized to my abuser. But yeah, because like I felt like if I didn't take, like, it takes two to tango, right? And I'm a snarky little bitch sometimes. So not that I ever think that I deserved what he did, but I'm like, I'm sorry. This is what you did. And he apologized for what he did, and then he continued to stalk me again. So there was no, look, I guess if you get a genuine apology from someone who actually thinks they've done something wrong.
That's the whole thing. Is my brother was one of those that never would think that he ever did anything wrong.
No.
He was above the law in every way. It was endowed to him to be above the law without reproach. He could just do whatever he wanted to hurt whomever he wanted to, however he wanted to. And that was his God-given right. He believed that.
Yeah.
His actions toward everybody who ever cared about him prove it over and over and over again. You know?
And that's what I'm trying to say, is that there's apologies mean very little.
Yeah.
When you can't, there's nothing that you can change, you know.
Yeah.
They can't take back the broken ribs, all that sort of stuff, everything that happened. So,
yeah.
You know, sorry means nothing without changed behavior.
Yeah.
Ben says, you have to let anger out at the right target when our values have been violated. If you don't allow yourself that outlet, it will come out sideways. It's true. That's been my experience. Yeah.
But here's my question. When the right target is just not receptive to accepting any of the anger that's coming their way, what's the right target at that point? Where is that anger supposed to go? Because personally, I've turned it around on myself. I've turned the anger around on myself, and I've hated myself.
Oh, see, that's where I took it, and I was just okay. I'm going to let this anger just simmer nice and even, and I'm going to look for that way that I can get that justice and F his world up every which way but loose. That was how I handled it.
That's a movie, isn't it? Every Which Way But Loose.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but in the end, you kind of think if they didn't do the wrong thing, then they wouldn't have got it. So why? And I don't know. It feels like we are, as the victims. Oh my God. I'm just going to have a bit of a cough session. One sec. No, I won't. But we as the victims seem to be the ones we have to forgive. You know, we have to make all the effort to fix whatever it is that caused us to
That
be
can't be
abused.
fixed. You can't fix broken, what, you know, that the fact that you broke my ribs, that cannot be undone. It can't be
Mhm.
undone.
Mhm.
Our growth does not equal our abuser's growth, and that's true, unfortunately. Because if they can do that to another human being, where's their room for growth? They don't care about growth.
And especially if they constantly think that they're right. There's
Yeah.
not going to be room for, there's not even willingness for room for growth at that point. That's just a red flag right there.
Yeah.
Constantly right, red flag.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, my chat stopped moving, so every so often I have to scroll up.
Clint Eastwood and a monkey. It was an orangutan. Remember?
It has no tail. You kind of
Yeah.
got to wonder if abusers do grow. Like, are there abusers out there who stop?
I would
guess
like
there
to
must
know.
be.
I would like to know that.
Well, I'd like to meet one.
I would
Well, not meet
too.
one, but
Yeah.
talk to them from a distance. But
Yeah.
like, yeah. Oh, Mary, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I would
23
love to
years.
know what makes someone want to hurt somebody else, and then what turns them around to make them stop.
Yeah.
Like what made them stop? Because whatever made them stop, we should use that for everybody, or some version of whatever made the abusers stop. Because I don't know. Because it just seems that abuse is so prevalent.
It's a sickness. It's a sickness of some kind, because my brother was getting some type of sick. He was getting off on punching me repeatedly. And it was gross.
Yeah.
It was gross. It was sick, you know?
Yeah.
And so it is a sickness, and so there ought to be a treatment for it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I think, that instead of people being put in jail and just shoved off over into the wilderness, they should get treatment and, treat them, give them counseling, help them. And then maybe understanding these people who do this stuff, if they get counseling and these counselors go in there and treat them, there's going to be a better understanding of why people act the way they do to make them end up in that sort of place in the first place. So, there's no, I don't know, everything just feels like retribution rather than.
Right. And, and there's so much futility to a certain extent, but at some point there does have to be a piper paid.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying, like, people have rights, prisoners have rights, but those who are beyond help should be forced to have some sort of treatment, to talk therapy of some sort. Force them. They're in jail anyway. What are they going to do?
Right.
So I just think
that means our penal system needs to become more of a rehabilitation system. It really does.
Exactly. It needs to be less retribution, more rehabilitation, because otherwise, what's the point? We're just putting them in there and they're coming out worse than what they went in.
Yep. My only concern is if they were able to harm somebody the way that they were, and out of my own personal experience, they're not going to be honest in therapy.
No, but after 20 years, what are they going to do? Still lie after 20 years? Just keep at it. I just think we should just keep at it. I don't think there's enough studies done into why people act the way they do and why there's so many people in jail. Mm-hmm. And all that sort of stuff. Doing
part of a mandatory part of a sentence should be that you will submit to this study.
Yes, or you get another 10 years on top.
Yeah.
So
for it.
Yeah, exactly. So it just seems like it'd be helpful.
Yeah.
if they're going to be there, and I don't believe in capital punishment at all. If they're going to be there for the rest of their natural lives, make them help.
Yeah. You know, people that just have that no empathy thing. I've heard that in some instances they will put a person like that in charge of someone who is on their deathbed, and they have to care for them. They have to tend to
Really?
all their needs. I don't know if it does any good or not, but I mean,
Yeah.
have to watch somebody just dying right in front of you, you know, I mean, it should get your attention some kind of way, and you're not going to get out of it. I don't know if that's true or not, but I had a counselor tell me that that was a thing.
Interesting. I guess it
Yeah,
would be
well,
shocking enough.
I have seen those dog programs where they have people and they train dogs. Like, I don't know if they're seeing eye dogs or they're service animal dogs, but they train them, and it's pretty sad actually, because eventually they take the dog away. But you know, it teaches these people that they can do stuff. You know, they've got this hope. Hope's taken away from so many people, and I think, you know, full of hope. I love your name because that's what it should be. That's what everybody should be. We should be full of hope, but we seem to have, I don't know. Most days I'm wishing for an asteroid to come down and strike a certain part of the planet that's annoying me at the time. You know, so but instead of being like, well, I hope they get better, I'm like, yeah, destroy them. Just knock them out. But that's kind of where we are right now. It seems like hope is gone a lot. For a lot of people, hope is gone.
So one point that you had said there, and I'm not trying to argue it, but I think that there might be a mindset that I have a little bit different than you. Yes, it's sad that the dogs get taken away, but it teaches them emotion regulation.
Yes.
That's one thing that they already suffer with. And now they've learned that they've got hope. They're putting time and energy into something good. And on top of that, they're getting the emotion regulation learning that they probably didn't get earlier on in life, which led them down different paths.
Yeah, and they know that's going to happen in the first place. So, but I just feel sad because I'm my dog. So I'm like, I wouldn't give my dog away. But but I just think it's a great program, and you know, because there's so many service dogs needed that I reckon that it would be great if it's a full-on thing. That because what are they doing in there? Just sitting around in their little rooms, just thinking of. I don't know. I just feel terrible.
There ought to be some work done.
Yeah, I just don't think
not be that person. There ought to be some work done, you know?
Yeah. I also feel like there's a lot of people who are in there for reasons that aren't what we would say proper.
Right.
So I just think instead of just making them sit around and do nothing, we should give them hope. Give them hope, because without hope, what's anything?
Yeah.
And like, do they have hope when they get out? Like, do they have hope for a better life? Do they have, you know, skills? Anything? I just feel like we're ruining generations of people by just shoving them in jail. And it's over here as well. Like, a lot of Indigenous people get put in jail for some reason. I don't know why. It just seems like, you know, they do something. White person does the same thing. The Indigenous is going to go to jail for it. I don't know why. It just is what it is. But I just feel like we're losing so many great children and people to an justice system.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's
if
true.
I'm not mistaken, Europe has a very different outlook on the prison system. And I think I heard Tommy talk about this. I know that I had watched something on it before. And I feel like many other countries need to adopt this system where individuals aren't afraid to leave jail because, one, they have no hope. Two, how do they reintegrate? How do they reintegrate after time that they've spent? And on top of that, find a job, find an apartment, because now there's, you know, criminal record checks on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know, there's a whole slew of people that are
That we've
wasted.
that our society has failed.
yeah, that's a good way. Society has failed it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. There was nothing done for growth via the jail system. That came negative anger and hate. They put race against race. They instigated rage, only negative from the system. I came out a better person because I wanted better and didn't know how to stop. It was my own way out of that world, not by my choice in situation, but I tried to go to rehabs, but they told me I had to be clean 48 hours. I hope it's changed because that's ridiculous. Why are you even allowed to call yourself a rehab if that's the case?
True.
I think a lot of rehabs don't want to deal with the detoxing stage of things. So, because I know that over here in Australia, to get into
Then
most
they ought to be
rehabs-
able to refer somebody to a detox and help them get in.
Exactly. So I had access to a free. It's called It's HADS, Hospital Alcohol Drug Service, or detox or whatever. But I had free access to that, and I still do now if I need it eventually, if I ever need it again. But that's not something that most people know how to access. They don't know that that's there unless they go and seek it. You know, you have to know about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
The
There's
rainbows
many
are annoying
systems. Many
Yeah.
systems like that. How do you know how to find the things that you need when you've never been taught where to find them?
If they
And
even
we're not-
exist in your area, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, there's people who had to come down from North Queensland to go to the hospital detox.
Oh
here.
wow.
Yeah. So it's like that's what I'm saying. Like the services are there generally. It's just that it's hard for those who are in the midst of whatever they're going through to be able to look for them because they're going through stuff. You know, I'm not going to sit there on a phone and Google endless rehabs and all that sort of stuff if I just want to do whatever, drink, you know.
There should be a hotline. In my opinion, there should be a hotline to access information for these services.
I don't know how there is one here in the States. I don't know how useful it is. I have it actually posted as a link in my description to all my videos.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, I have not been in a position since that was put into place to know how helpful or
Okay.
unhelpful it is, you know.
Like
SAMHA or SASHA, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a
like
huge
where I am, just finding the hotline numbers is difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult to just find the hotline numbers for the information that you need. And then once you call, it's like, here's 4 other calls. People don't have the energy for that when they're trying to get clean or they're trying to get out of a situation.
No,
No,
and they don't have the clarity of ability and mind a lot of times too.
Yeah. Yeah. Let
I
alone,
seem
like,
to
I'm
be-
sorry, when I was using, I was impatient. If I couldn't figure it out, then I was going to use immediately again because it would take away my stress for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend who asked me to help her get her former partner into rehab, and I said I can't. One, I haven't been into it. I haven't been into a rehab. I don't even know how to get there. But 2, the person who is going into rehab has to do it all themselves, because otherwise, if I do it, they're not gonna have any. They're just gonna show up, you know. But if they do it, if they have to see how hard it is to get into detox and all that sort of stuff, well, rehab, then maybe they're actually going to make an effort of it rather than just show up. Basically, I'm not gonna put in the work for this person. He's got to do it himself.
Yep.
And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but
it's the truth, though. It's
Oh
the
my
truth of the
God.
situation. You can lead a horse to water, but are they going to drink it?
Oh, really?
I want to bring those resources together. Those hotlines, it took so long to get a person. Just listen to the beginning announcement on Jelly Roll's She video. Yeah, that's
I'll
what I
have
was
to look
afraid
at that.
of. I wonder, does 811 help with that, or is there any aspect of the 811 system that
Let's
will help with drugs and alcohol as well as mental health? I don't know how adequate or inadequate 811 even is.
I can tell you that if anyone's in Australia and they need some help, there's quite a few lines that are actually really good, and you do get answered quite quickly. But Australia's a lot
Okay.
smaller than America, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to bring those resources together. That is my goal. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
Lisa.
Yeah. 100%. On a hotline, the guy on the other end fell asleep. Dang.
Yeah. That's just wonderful.
This is what we need. Yeah. Peer support. Peer support. And, and you do need a place to kind of come and talk and vent and, just have somebody listen,
Mhm.
I'm actually thinking of doing a peer psychology thing as a
Okay.
peer support person. You could do a psychology course for it.
Okay.
And then, because I actually wanted to be a psychologist, but I didn't want to do all the trauma.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could. I'll just sit there and cry with whatever the person is. But I can be a peer support person.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
but
you
I can't
can.
counsel I can't counsel people on a whole bunch of their problems because I'll be like, same.
Yeah. I feel like I would take on too much of it.
Yeah. But peer support is something I don't know. It seems to come easy. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry for coughing so much.
I hope you get to feeling better. Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. I was asked by a state rep to do an eval on 211. I'm working with her now to show the inadequacies. Good.
Yes.
And hopefully she
Yeah.
really does care enough to address it. And knowledge of what is wrong. Most people have no idea. True.
It's the truth.
Cosmic, that would be outstanding. Listening to you ladies at bedtime, full of hope. It's as good as journaling. Thank you. Thank you, full of hope. Hey, Kim Milan, welcome. On more than one time, I went to counseling for trying to unalive myself, and my counselor would sleep through my sessions. Are you serious? What?
Prick. I'm sorry. Well, even if it's a chick. Prick. What? How terrible.
What the hell? Been taking psychology classes for 3 years. Awesome. Good deal.
Very nice. Yeah.
I think if
What
my
were-
counselor fell asleep during my thing, I'd be like, and I'm also planning on murdering everybody. Just wake them up.
To see what it would happen.
just see if they're actually asleep or just, pretending.
What we are doing is such an experiment as well. The factor is we are doing so with human lives. We have to realize this with love.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Sometimes
Mary. We should always be kind.
Yeah.
You never know what somebody else is going through.
That's
I'm the
true.
person who smiles at everybody. I mean, everybody. And I don't think somebody would guess the situation I was in if I was just walking down the road.
No.
Right.
So you
Well,
just have to be kind.
You kind of hope that people don't just, I don't want to be known. I don't want my, what do they call it? Like Sims? And you have
Yeah, where
yeah, you walk around. I don't want everyone knowing what about me.
Yeah. But I think we were recently talking about it. As much as we may pull down our mask in situations like this, we still wear a mask some of the time.
Yeah.
And the reason is that situation exactly. We don't want people seeing what's going on in our lives. We want to be able to just shut it out for a minute and not have to deal with other people's reactions towards it.
Yeah. Well, I just
Yeah.
like to go around pretending that I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like that.
I feel you there.
The meme with the dog who's drinking coffee and the house is fire around him. I'm fine.
Yes, our masks are heavy. They are heavy. I would like for a society to be where we don't have to wear them as much, but I'm too fearful. I'm too fearful to let it down in certain situations, and I think that that's a lot of people, just so that my experiences aren't weaponized against me.
Yes, like Izzy
That's
E points
exactly
out.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Hey.
If we live in the same province, it may be a thing.
But that's kind of why I've decided not to, like, every relationship I've ever gone into, I've always told them my red flags straight up. I've got this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. Just because I feel like everyone deserves to know before they go into a situation, you know? But I'm not going to do that anymore because I'm going to ask their red flags. I'm going to ask, okay, what are your red flags? And then I'll see if they match up after a little while, you know, because if I keep telling everybody my red flags, then it's true. They use it against me.
Yep. Right? It's just, no, it would be easier to just, I think it would be easier to ask the person's red flags, but then here's my issue and my distrust and my jadedness, I guess you could say. I'm going to get lied to about those red flags because they're trying to figure out how to just be in my life anyways.
That's the point. That's my point. I want them to tell me what they think are their red flags, and then I'll see if they match up to what I actually see.
Yeah.
I love this, Kim Milan. Oh yeah, I have a mask for each instant, each day. I even laugh about each one has a different lipstick color.
I like that. Depends on my situation, depends on the color.
I'm always red. I'm gonna have to go because I've got counseling. So I love you guys, and
love
I'm
you
sorry
too, Cosmic.
I missed the weekend ones, but yeah, I love you.
Glad
love
you're
everybody.
here. Love you.
Yeah, me too.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I don't know how much of the world's problems we solve today. We want it. Sometimes it's so darn tempting to try. Sometimes,
but I think just talking through them helps. Not to solve them. I really don't think that, as much as I love everybody that we have in the group and I love everybody participating, I really don't think we are going to solve the world's issues.
Right.
But I think talking about them so that we understand we don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Help. I think that helps a lot.
I think it does too. Psycho to go YouTube page has help. Thank you, Mrs. D. Ms. D. I'm trying to put that up here. One foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Mary Jones. I got to sleep too. Stay brilliant, ladies. Good to see you, full of hope. Unloading helps. It does. It does.
I think that's why it's like this time every day. It's like by the time that I get to 3 o'clock, I'm like, is it 4:40 yet? Because I'm about ready to just unload. Whether I'm listening to other people's or I'm doing it myself, I'm just ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connection, love, support, and understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh.
Have a good sleep, full of hope. Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Have we had a meeting? I feel like we've had a meeting.
I'm a 3.
I'm a 3. 2 if you still need a meeting. 3 if you feel like we've had a meeting. Anyway.
Yeah. And how are the incarcerated goats?
Well, they have a smaller area. They are confined, and that's how they're going to have to stay till we can get some fencing figured out.
Yeah. Well, that way they don't go climbing Mount Everest. So.
Right.
Oh,
Unloading
my
and not getting treated like I am crazy, the crazy person. That needs more meds is the best.
Truth. Truth. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
the factor of removing I feel crazy, it helps so much. So
Yeah,
much.
that's true.
Because then it's like I can really process what I'm thinking then, instead of we were talking about it earlier, the little guilt shame monster on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Because then we're just gonna get stuck in that loop again
Yeah.
and again and again.
Ugly old
No more
loop.
sleeping. Right? Oh, everybody looks like got a bunch of threes in there.
Threes, yeah. Well, shall we?
Perfect.
Oh, and Christy's on the road, you guys. She is on
Okay.
her way to Baltimore.
Yes, she was a little bit late getting on the road, so it's gonna be really, really late when they get in, but she was in good spirits. I think she was really excited to,
Yeah.
what she call it, her gypsy life.
Well, I was going to say, get her gypsy on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for her. She seems very, very excited and happy about it, and that makes me excited and happy.
Yeah. So maybe tomorrow she'll be able to be in the meeting again. That would be great.
Yeah. Yes. Well, nope. Those ants will drive you crazy if you let them.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, they
Oh,
will.
yes. Hi, Matrix Rabbit. Good to see you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, shall we end on a huzzah and
Color an evening for this evening? For sure.
yeah, right on.
For sure. Okay. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Yes. Yes.
Good to see you, Gordo.
Yes.
Have a
And I
great
love
night
you
yourself.
all. Thank you for showing up. I'm going to go get me some foods, I think.
Right on.
Good night, Carol.
Good night. Thanks, you guys. Good meeting. We hashed out some stuff. That's always a good thing to do. I feel like helps me. Good to see you guys, every one of you. Thank you for making it needing a meeting. Hope to see you next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.